Alrighty, here we go. The number one key to incredible sex. Exclusivity. I can't spell. Exclusivity. When one man focuses just on one woman. Looking at the Song of Solomon. Now she writes and says, I belong to my lover and his desire is for me. Something incredible happens when a man focuses on just one woman. Now this is radical what I'm telling you, because our culture today says the key to great sex is lust. The more you fantasize, the more you check out the hot babes, the more you're looking at pornography on the internet, and check, oh, the better your sex life will be. But they are lying to you. Our culture has completely lost its mind in this area. And all the experts talk about, yes, the key to incredible sex is to fantasize and to masturbate. And who is this woman? I can't imagine her having sex. It's just like, ugh. Hollywood. Hollywood. The people who can't stay married for more than 3 months at a time is giving us the perfect scenario for great sex. Lust, fantasy, ooh, 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 ooh. But it is a big, fat, stinking, puking lie. It doesn't work. You say, well, you're just against it because you're a preacher. No, no, no. I do not oppose lust on moral grounds. I could preach you to hell and back if you wanted. But I don't have to. It doesn't work. At least if it worked, it would make some degree of sense, but it does not, and no one challenges it today. You ever read that story of the emperor's new clothes? How everybody went around and told the emperor how great he looked, and always just walking around in his underwear, and everybody, oh, you're great. And some little kid finally says, you know, he's naked. I feel like that little kid. All the experts today, they keep repeating the same lie over and over and over and over again, and everyone just, oh yes, the emperor's clothes are magnificent. Oh yes, lust and pornography and masturbation. Oh, this is fantastic sex when you do this. But it doesn't work. And the proof is in the pudding. People say, well, where's your proof? By proof is you guys who do it. Let me ask you guys who sit around in the dark and check out the hot babes on the internet and sit around and yank on your wanger. Come on, you wanger yankers, you know who I'm talking to. Let me ask you a question. How's that working for you? Huh? You got great sex? You know you don't. In fact, the more you do it, the more you indulge in it, the worse your sex life becomes. And the prescription the world gives us is, oh yeah, you just need more porn, you need more porn. But it doesn't help. It keeps making it worse. It is destroying people's lives. In Hollywood, they just don't get it. All these experts. I was watching this one show, you've seen the show Family Feud? This one week they had soap opera stars on. And I'll hand it to these people. They look great, but they were as dumb as a box of rocks. And they asked them this one question. It said, 100 people surveyed. What can you do to improve your romantic life? And they come up to the first team and say, okay, I need an answer. And they're all, yeah, okay. And they come to the first person, and he says, what's your answer? What can you do to improve your romantic life? He goes, have an affair. And all the other rocks in the box go, good answer, good answer, good answer. Have an affair. How can you be so stupid and still breathe? The way to improve your sex life is to have an affair with somebody else. But that's the culture they live in. The more lust, the more naughty, somehow it improves. It does not improve, it destroys. I know psychiatrists and psychologists who have prescribed to couples in an effort to improve their relationship have an affair. So ignorant are they that the emperor is walking around naked. Went over to the next, he said, have an affair. The guy looked at him like he was nuts. Okay, have an affair. Ah. Went to the next rock. What can you do to improve your romantic life? View pornography together. Good answer, good answer, good answer. View porno. Ah. Every answer they came up with was lust-based. 3 strikes. They couldn't get it. Went over to the other box of rocks. Same thing. I'd never seen it before. Neither side could get one answer. Because when they got done, he said, well, let's take a look. And it was like, spend time with each other, have a romantic dinner, take a long walk, bring her flowers, stuff that any moron knows. But these people don't get it. They don't get it. Oh, yeah, that's great. Look, the world's answer to great sex, their formula is number 1, fantasize. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Ignore the real woman in your life and focus on one who would never give you the time of day. Oh, yeah, let's do that. Let's pretend. Let's live in a fantasy world. We are trading in real women for fantasies. How can we be so stupid? And this is becoming a real problem. And you know who's beginning to notice it? A lot of people way off on the liberal left are starting to notice it. They're starting to write about it. They're starting to realize there is a problem. Men are becoming more and more diminished sexually and are becoming unable to perform because they have so overstimulated themselves with pornography. It is destroying them. I've met women who've told me that their husbands prefer pornography and masturbation to actually making love to them. I had a woman in my office, and she's a 20-something-year-old, good-looking woman, like Hoochie Mama, okay? So, well, I didn't think pastors notice that sort of thing. Hey, I may be sanctified, but I'm not petrified. All right. A good-looking woman is a good-looking woman. And she tells me sitting there, she says, my husband hasn't touched my vagina in over a year. Not interested. I said, you're kidding me. He said, what does he want? Well, he just wants me to do these weird things to him. All garbage he's got in his head through looking at porn. Trading in real women for fantasies. What in the world? So many women I've talked to in the last year who says, my husband admits he would rather masturbate than make love to me. Fantasize and masturbate. Oh, that's their idea of great sex. And what is it with this masturbating thing? And the passion to which these people rise to defend masturbation as some form of great sex. I don't get it. I'd love to know who the first hillbilly was that went, that kind of looks like a vagina. And this is starting to destroy a lot of men's sex lives. Do not fool yourselves. There is no way in the world you can keep doing that over and over and over again and not retrain your body. Everybody knows this. When it comes to anything physical, athletes know this. They train, they do the same repetitive action over and over again in order to train their bodies so their bodies will respond in a certain way. Athletes do this. Whether it's tennis or football or whatever, they train over and over again so that without thinking about it, their body reacts in a certain way. The military knows that you train young men to react in a certain way. They do the same drills over and over and over and over again. Why? Because you train your body so that without thinking, you act in a certain way. How in the name of God, our culture is teaching our young people from the age of 13 to start masturbating 2, 3, 5, some of them 7 times a day, thinking that it will not retrain them. The truth of the matter is there are a lot of men today who are no longer able to function with a woman. And I hear this all the time in these seminars. Guys who come to me, women who come to me, who tell me their husbands cannot perform. There are a lot of men today who cannot perform with a woman. I had a guy call our office. He says, man, he says, I can have sex with my wife for hours. Nothing ever happens. Incapable of achieving an orgasm. But he can do it by himself. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, let's get all our kids doing that. Let's get them doing that. He went to the doctor to find out what was wrong with him, and he was diagnosed. This is not a joke, seriously. TMS, the doctor said you have TMS. It's called traumatic masturbatory syndrome. He's actually reconditioned his penis to a certain type of stimulation. It won't respond to a real woman. What are we thinking? And you know what really fries my Puerto Rican pancakes? Is when they say, well, this is how you can achieve orgasm. You masturbate until you achieve orgasm. And they tie the words masturbation and orgasm together. They are crazy. You cannot achieve an orgasm through masturbation. You can ejaculate, you can have something physically happen to you, but it is not an orgasm. An orgasm is when you're making love to a woman and you reach your peak and endorphins are released into your bloodstream and every cell in your body stands up and grabs the hand of the cell next to it and goes, hallelujah! That is an orgasm. Almost universally, people report that when they masturbate, they immediately feel the opposite. Icky, dirty, or guilty. And psychologists have been telling us for decades now, oh, you don't have to feel guilty about masturbating. It's fine. I know Christian pastors who tell their young people, you don't have to feel guilty about masturbating. It's fine. I know psychologists, you don't have to feel guilty. It's fine. I'll tell you what, you can fool your mind, but you will never, ever, ever fool your body. And there are a lot of men today, I believe, who have never achieved an orgasm. They ejaculate. That's all they do. They've so trained their... You cannot get your body doing this over and over and over again and think you can function normally. All they're training their bodies to ejaculate, they never really achieve an orgasm. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, let's get all our kids doing that. The misinformation our kids are getting today, a lot of you have gotten it, but dear God, our kids are getting it in spades. The misinformation is going to wreck their sex lives, has the potential to wreck their sex lives for the rest of their lives. And nobody is telling you what I'm telling you right now. Most preachers don't like talking about this stuff. It freaks them out. As you can tell, I have no such problem. And I understand that, but we have got to start talking about this stuff. We're trying, in the church, we're trying to win an argument where we only let the other side talk. We're trying to win a war where we only let the other side have bullets. Then we wonder why 50% of the men in our congregations have sexual addictions. That's the number, 50%. In our congregations, church-going men, sexual addictions. You have to understand something. Pornography will rob you of great sex. See, every man, the reason why it's such a temptation is because we think it's great sex. Oh, we want to check out that baby. Oh, if we get on the line, I'll have greater sex, I'll have greater sex. That's what sucks us in, with the promise of great sex. But it is a lie. I promise you. The more you do it, and you know the ones of you who do it, the more you do it, the opposite happens. They are lying to you. I'm telling you, the lies that this generation has faced and is continuing to face along sexual information, there are so many blatant lies along this line. We have lost our minds in this country. It is destroying people's lives. You know one of the biggest problems we're having today in America? Sexless marriages. Sexless people don't want to have sex. Don't have to have sex. Have sex with themselves. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, let's trade in a real woman for a fantasy one. Remember that little diagram I gave you last night? Got the heart and the smiley face. And that motivates that. When you masturbate, that breaks the system. That'd be nice to her. I'd pay attention to her. So self-centered men, lazy, and for a quick release, become lovers to themselves instead of lovers of women. This is sad stuff. Well, what do you tell our teenagers? Tell them to wait. They won't die. No one has ever died from lack of ejaculation. And there's a lot of misinformation about that. People talk about this condition called blue ball. I'm not to try to gross you out, but that's, well, I have women, well, what about my son? Won't they get blue ball if they don't masturbate? No, they won't. That's one of the biggest urban myths that there are. It's the most ridiculous bunch of nonsense. There is a condition like that, but it has nothing to do with ejaculation. Nothing. It has to do with being overstimulated for a long period of time. And the answer is just quit being so stimulated and go back to normal. It is not a chronic condition. You're going to walk around tortured for the rest of your life if you don't masturbate. There's never been a morgue anywhere in the world where on the toad said, cause of death, failure to ejaculate. Biggest bunch of lies. We're not animals. Your kids are not animals. You know what the difference between an animal and a human being is? We can say no. We have control over ourselves. We live in a culture where the idea of having control over yourself is ludicrous. It's absurd. There's people who will hear this video who will go, oh, I can't believe he's saying that. What false information? What false information? I speak at these things all around the country. You know, every once in a while I get into one of these scenarios where these experts are there. And I tell them just what I think, and it just freaks the willies out of them. And they get, where's your proof? You gotta have proof. Where's your proof? I'll give you my proof. You know, and it's so ignorant. Like, we need to prove this? We need to prove this? Some things are so obvious. It's like trying to prove, well, where's your proof that oxygen is good for your lungs? So I attempt to prove it to them. Let's start with our scientific explanation, shall we? Let's assume that a turned on woman plus B, a turned on man, equals the best possible sex. Okay? Are you okay with it? You follow? Does that seem logical? For some reason, this is like, whoa! Oh, I've never heard such a thing to these experts. I mean, come on. If you don't have a turned-on man, kind of hard to have really great sex. If you don't have a turned-on woman, kind of hard to have really great sex. So we can at least agree you need a turned-on woman and a turned-on man to have great sex. Yes, we're there, okay? All right, now let me take a little survey here. About pornography. Ladies, if you, and you have to remember, these experts, these therapists, these nitwits I call, actually use this stuff in therapeutic ways. It's prescriptive. Pornography is prescriptive. This will improve your sex lives. So let me ask you, ladies, if you knew Your husband had just been watching pornography and wanted to use you to satisfy himself while thinking about that other woman. How many of you that would make you feel very sexual and turned on? Let me see your hands. Okay? We'll call that 0. I presented this to some people. Said, "Well, you can't do that. You're not going to ask women if they're turned on. They'll never raise their hand. That will never work. This is improper." Okay. Let me change the question. If you knew your husband only thought about you and treated you like the only woman in the world without thinking about any other women, how many that would make you feel sexual or turned on? Let me see your hand. Oh, so women will raise their hands. All right, come on. All right, let's see your hands again. I got to get a count. Hands. Okay, we'll call that lots. Now, for our formula, for these experts who need... All right, I have checked with some of the greatest mathematical minds in the country, some graduates of MIT, and have determined, after repeated and at length discussions, that lots is greater than 0. It's brilliant, truly brilliant. So we know now that porn results in a turned off woman. Well, right there, you got yourself a problem. If women are turned off by this idea of her husband fantasizing, then their prescription for porn to improve their sex lives is pure, unadulterated baloney. Because as soon as you're removed, you can't get to the best possible sex. Right? And I do this for thousands of people. I have yet to have a solitary woman go, "Oh yeah, that'd be great." And I'm sure there must be one or two out there. But this is so lopsided, it blows one's mind. So blind are these people that the emperor's walking around naked. "Oh, wow, but we've learned it." And all the experts say. But we know that repeat porn exposure results in a diminished male. And I'm telling you, these people are starting to notice this. We're getting writings of people in secular magazines, liberal magazines, who are complaining, hey, men are not able to perform. This is impacting men physically. They're not able to perform as a result of this stuff. I know of men, I know of ministers who, while they're making love to their wives, insist on having a dirty magazine open next to them so they can stay stimulated while making love to their wives. You can imagine how wonderful that makes her feel. Why do they have to do that? Because they cannot maintain an erection if they don't see that. That is the addictive power of this thing. And these people think this is good sex? This is great sex? So we know that repeat porn exposure results in a diminished male. Well, what's the scientific sign for a diminished male? If this is a scientific sign for a normal male, this would be the scientific sign for a diminished male. All right, you're all tracking with me here? All right, so this finally leads us to our scientific formula for the best possible sex. If A, a turned-on woman, plus B, a turned-on man, equals the best possible sex, and we know that porn results in an unturned-on woman, with repeated porn exposure resulting in a diminished man, then A plus B minus porn logically results in the best possible sex. Which means that these experts' information has to be based on broken science. You can imagine these people get really mad at me. And I don't care. I love it. I love it. These people look at me like I just dropped in from Mars. This one lady who writes for, a bunch of major women magazines in the country and Newsweek magazine and stuff like that was interviewing me. And she says, well, I've never heard of such a thing. Is it masturbation normal? After all, children masturbate. So what? Children don't masturbate. She says, well, they touch themselves. So, well, I touch myself. And besides, is this our standard, children? I said, my grandkids will eat their own poop if I let them. Does that mean we should all eat poop? These people do not think, I'm telling you, they're the most intellectually dishonest people in the world when it comes to this issue. You know why? Because they're all addicted to this nonsense. And I need more porn, I need more porn, I need more fantasies. And because of this imprinting that I talked about to you at the beginning, these men have so imprinted, they've got to constantly react and relive pornographic or naughty scenarios in their minds so they can enjoy sex. And if you've been there, I'm telling you, you need to break yourself of that. You need to refocus. You need to take out the camera and start taking some new pictures. You make love to that girl, forget about that other stuff. Quit trying to relive garbage in your head. It won't give you great sex, it will rob you. I promise you, the key to great sex is focusing on just one woman. You see, lust is like eating snack food all day long. It'll ruin your appetite for the real thing. Your mama was right. Snacking will ruin your appetite. You out there checking out that babe, checking out that babe, checking out the magazine, checking out porn. It's going to wreck your appetite for the real thing. You just try it for 30 days. Anybody can do anything for 30 days. For 30 days, do not look at another woman, don't fantasize about another woman, don't look at some stupid magazine or pornography. You just focus on that girl and see what happens to you. She will just come alive to you. And you to her, she can sense when she's the only girl in the world to you. It will rock. You'll have the best sex of your life, I promise you, or your money back. Let's get this right. I'm telling you, this will change your world. It'll change your world. We've got to start giving good information. Your kids need to hear about this. They've been lied. You know, when I do this for teenagers and for like young adults or college kids, they sit there stunned. You know what they say to me afterwards? How come no one ever told us this? Because all they've heard is the other nonsense. You mean I can never touch it? I didn't say you couldn't touch it. I got no problem with couples touching each other. And people say, what, we're gone for long periods of time? Okay, fine. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you living in a house with a real woman and you ignore that woman and make love to yourself. This is insane. It is not great sex. It is terrible sex. These guys out there talking like they act like they really know great sex. Ha ha ha. Bunch of nitwits. They're number one, fantasize, masturbate, and then the number three, they coup d'etat. Wear a condom. Wear a condom. That's our secular world's idea of great sex. Man, to me, wearing a condom is like trying to eat an ice cream cone with a sock on your tongue. Man, if you want to practice birth control, use something else than a condom, man, don't you? If you can't tell the difference between real sex and a condom, we need to have a telethon for you, man. Raise money for a cure. That's it. And boy, that gets these experts really angry. When I say that, they get so angry. Oh, you're giving dangerous information. You're getting dangerous information. No, no, no. For the record, camera one, for the record, let me state, if you're going to have sex outside of marriage, by all means, wear a condom. If I were you, I'd wear 2 or 3. Kind of like double bagging at the grocery store. But do not delude yourself. Do not fool yourself. That is not great sex. You want great sex? Get married. The beautiful thing about being married is I don't have to wear a stupid condom. I know I'm freaking some of you out, but I don't care. I'm on a mission, man. Let's get this stuff right. Let's get this stuff right, man. God knew what he was talking about when he talked about one man focusing on just one woman. That is great sex. That is incredible sex. That'll blow your mind, knock your socks off sex. This fantasy nonsense and all this other stuff is destructive. It is poisonous. It is not great sex. It robs these people of great sex, and they're constantly looking for better sex, trying to get satisfied somehow, trying to up the level somehow. It's like a heroin addict. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And if there's any group in the world who should have this together, it ought to be Christian people, in my opinion. Christians ought to be known for great sex. We should. People ought to be saying, man, stupid Christians, I hate them. Yeah, a bunch of self-righteous hypocrites, yeah. Here they got great sex lives out. Really? What time do you suppose their services are? And we need to get this right. I know it's hard. This whole sexual thing can be a real struggle between men and women, that perfect standoff that we talked about. But don't neglect this area. Pay attention to this area. The church is getting sucked in just like the rest of the world, and it's sad. Christian Partnership Marriage Magazine, whatever it's called, did a survey a year or 2 ago. They asked this question: how many times did you make love in the last week? You know what the number one answer was among people of faith? 0. 0. And we wonder why we're having the problems that we're having. You know, men struggle with sexual temptation like you have no idea. And men cry out, God, what's your answer for my sex drive? What's your answer for... You know what God's answer for your sex drive is? Have sex. I like this answer. Girls, you need to be there for him. You have no idea how much men struggle with this. You need to be there for him. Do not neglect your husband's sexual needs. I know it's okay to put the conditions, all that kind of stuff, everything I talked about, but bottom line, fundamentally, you cannot ignore this area. I hear women complain bitterly. Oh, I wish the men in our church were more involved. I wish the men in our church would get more excited, and they just praise the Lord more. I got bad news for you girls. It's really hard for a sexually frustrated man to praise the Lord. You want your husband praising the Lord tomorrow morning? You put a smile on that boy's face tonight. That's what I'm talking about. He'll walk into this place going, hallelujah, somebody sing a song, let's get going. Ha ha, Bingo! All right, y'all still love me? All right.